Hello, everyone, and welcome to this absolute chaos. Today, we are going to be doing a overview of my laptop collection, which is quite extensive. So this is probably going to be a very long video. I'm going to try and split them into brand sections. So we'll have an Apple and a Dell and a Lenovo and etc. And we'll see if anything makes anyone go ooh, or if it's all just really boring, which is probably the second one because, to be quite honest, I don't think I own that many super interesting things, but I enjoy them, so I thought you might as well. My late 2006 15-inch MacBook Pro features the low-spec 2.16 GHz Intel Core 2 Duo T7400, an upgraded 4GB of RAM, and the ATI Mobility Radeon X1600 graphics chip. It's not in too bad condition, but has certainly seen better days on the corners. This laptop was purchased very recently from eBay with a dead hard drive, as you saw in the previous video when we replaced it. Now, as you will have seen in the previous video, my 2006 MacBook Pro is in fact fully functional, however, currently does not have a fully working operating system installed on it, as you will have noticed in the previous video when we discovered that there was a hacked version of Mavericks installed on it, but she works absolutely beautifully. My early 2008 MacBook is quite an exciting one. I won this in a competition a few years ago from another tech YouTuber called FretKMods. It's come all the way from the United States. It features a 2.4 GHz Intel Core 2 Duo T8300, 4GB of RAM, and the Intel X3100 graphics chipset. The display is only 1280 by 800, but it's only 13.3 inches, which means the resolution doesn't look bad at all. This MacBook is in pretty good overall condition, but does not have a working battery installed at this time. This early 2008 MacBook Pro is also fully working, it just does not have a battery. So if we plug it in, give it a couple seconds to remember how to exist. The SuperDrive sounds horrible, but they all sound horrible at this point. I don't think I have a single one that sounds healthy. Now, this has two operating systems installed on it. First of all, we will pop into macOS Mountain Lion. Now, Mountain Lion is not officially supported by the 2008 MacBook, but using post factor you can install it, because Mountain Lion and Lion are basically the same, and the fact that they prevented Mountain Lion from being installed on certain computers is a bit of a joke, because they are literally the same operating system, really, just with a different number, really. They didn't change a lot. Should boot up nice and quickly. And I can't remember if there's a password or if it's going to dump us straight onto the desktop. No, got to click and password. Give it a second. There we go. And the battery is, of course, completely dead, so it's going to complain about the time and date. And there we go. Welcome to Mountain Lion. This is a really nice install, and it works absolutely fine. Let's just restart into Windows 10, which runs a lot worse than Mountain Lion does. Significantly worse than Mountain Lion does, but that's because it's Windows 10 on a Core 2 Duo. Now, as I said in the B-roll, this computer was won from another tech YouTuber called FretKMods a few years ago, which I was very excited about. So this has come all the way from the United States to my Southeast England-based desk, which is a little bit fun. I mean, what are the chances that somebody has to ship something like this internationally for a competition winner? I did feel slightly bad, but never mind. Here we go. It'll get there eventually. I mean, I don't think I have any MacBooks with working batteries, actually. No, I don't. All of them. Every single one is dead. So that's quite impressive. There we go. She's thinking about it. Still thinking about it. Still thinking about it. Still thinking about it. Still thinking about it. I might speed this bit up. There we go. Finally at the login screen. Can I actually log in? Aww. There we go. And we're in. So this is... What version of Windows 10 is this? It's definitely not the latest build, because if it was, it wouldn't boot. It would just run like complete potato. So I'm going to assume it's probably like 1904 or something. If we can even load WinVer. Oh. Okay. Let's try the run box instead. Is that any better? Come on. There we go. 1909. There you go. So it's not the latest build, as it absolutely shouldn't be. Right, let's shut it down before it has any chance to completely just melt its brains out. And we shall move on to the next computer in this extravaganza. This is my late 2008 17-inch MacBook Pro. It features a 2.5 GHz Core 2 Duo T9300, 4GB of RAM, and the dreaded NVIDIA GeForce 8600M GT graphics chip. However, this is the later revised version. It has a 1680 by 1050 17.3-inch display, which is absolutely enormous, and the laptop overall is also absolutely enormous. Just looking at the keyboard and trackpad is almost hilarious because of how much space there is around them. They're almost drowning in aluminium. This laptop was bought on eBay for not very much money at all, and I was very happy with my purchase. Once again, this 2008 MacBook Pro is also fully working. Again, completely dead battery, but she does work. And this also has the the later revision of the NVIDIA 8600M GT, which means it should, he says, never die. Never die. Because the original version, well, was prone to complete suicide at a moment's notice. But this one is still working, and hopefully will be working for a long time to come. Now, I just find the 17-inch MacBook Pro such a funny thing to look at, because it is just absolutely enormous. Absolutely enormous. If I grab the 15-inch 2006 MacBook Pro for a second, open it up, and just hold it next to it. I mean, the camera's a bit too close, really, but if I, put it on it, I mean, you can just... It's just absolutely swallowed up. The amount of metal around the keyboard is so funny to look at. So funny to look at. Because it's just swimming in aluminium. Absolutely swimming in it. Right, let's log into this. Now, this is running Mavericks, which is officially supported on the 2008 MacBook Pro, unlike the MacBook, because the graphics is significantly better. And here we are in Mavericks. And beautiful display on these, beautiful screen. I think it's 1680 by 1050, but I think there might have even been a 1920 by 1200 option, which is amazing. So this is 1680 by 1050, yeah. And it does look so lovely. It's the tiny, tiny little dock and tiny icons. Really, really, really nice computer, this. So that is the third MacBook that I own. Let's move on to number 4. This is my mid-2009 13-inch MacBook. It features a 2.13 GHz Core 2 Duo P7450, 2GB of DDR2 RAM, and the integrated NVIDIA GeForce 9400M graphics chip. It has the same 1280 by 800 display as the earlier seen white MacBook. This one is in far worse condition than my 2008 one. As you can see, it's got massive gouges out of it. Those are obviously not from me, but who knows what happened to it, poor thing. This particular model was originally my mum's for a bit because she needed a quick fill-in laptop, so it was bought from eBay in a panic. and it has now been passed back to me. And the condition is, the condition of this is really not very good, but it's quite a desirable laptop. The mid-2009 MacBook was the last non-unibody MacBook, and it has the highest specs and therefore the best macOS support, and is the nicest to work on. And again, surprise, surprise, this this MacBook also works absolutely fine, but also has a dead battery. Shocker, I know. And this is running macOS Snow Leopard, at least for the time being, which is quite nice. Although for some reason, Snow Leopard will not connect to my Wi-Fi, no matter what I do. I can get Windows XP on my Wi-Fi, but Snow Leopard is having none of it. So I have no idea why that could be, but oh well. Give it a minute, because these always take ages to post. Now, the mid-2009 MacBook is quite desirable, as it is the last pre-unibody MacBook that got like good OS support. So this went all the way up to High Sierra officially, and you can patch everything onto it. I think, will it take Ventura? It'll probably take Ventura and various incredibly new versions of macOS, because it just does. It's got newer Core 2 Duos, and it got loads of OS support. There we go, straight into Snow Leopard on here. The screens on these are not particularly nice, but they were the cheap laptop. So what can you expect? And it's 5.2 in case you're interested. So that is a mid-2009 MacBook. Shut her down. And we will move on to the next MacBook. Warning, the next MacBook is part of the sticker bomb era. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Here is my mid-2010 15-inch MacBook Pro. This was purchased with a dead GPU issue, which, unlike the 2011 MacBook Pros, is not an actual failure of the chip, but rather a capacitor which I've managed to replace, so it is fully working. This laptop features a Core i7-640M running at 2.8 GHz, 8GB of DDR3 RAM, and an NVIDIA GT330M graphics chip. This also features the super high resolution 1680 by 1050 matte display, which looks absolutely gorgeous. This was also part of my sticker bomb era when I was about 14, so I can only apologise for the state of the lid of some of the laptops that are to come. It has always lived in this plastic case, so is in really excellent condition overall, other than by the charge port, where it suffered devastating slide off of the sofa and onto the concrete floor, so there is a slight ripple in the aluminium. Other than that, she works perfectly and looks absolutely stunning. There's the damage. And the last Apple laptop in my collection is my mid-2010 MacBook Pro, which also works and also has an entirely dead battery. Actually, it doesn't have a battery in it at all. The battery got removed because it's swelled up. It's one of those spicy pillow moments, so there is no battery at all in the vicinity of this computer. I got this a long time ago, hence the sticker bomb. So 13-year-old me thought that was a good idea, and they will probably never come off properly, so goddamn me from 9 years ago, but never mind. So this has macOS and it also has a Windows on it. It actually has multiple things on it. So we'll start with Windows, which I believe is a Windows 7 install, which is a little bit of fun. Am I correct in saying that? I am correct in saying that. Welcome to the Windows 7 boot screen. Now, mid-2010 MacBook Pros are really quite nice. They're not as nice as the mid-2012s. I would love a mid-2012 15-inch in this condition with this display. That would be beautiful. But the mid-2010s are just quite nice as well. The problem is they're only dual-core. So even this one, which is the full maxed-out Core i7 version, is still only a dual-core. And it's not a very good dual-core at that. Second generation Intel CPUs were just such a step up over first gen. The first gens really are quite slow. As you can see, even on an SSD, booting Windows 7 is taking its sweet time. Nearly there. There we go. That's helpful. Oh, caps lock, oh boy. There we go. this screen is really, really nice. The colour's really nice. It's not very anti-reflective, actually. It's very anti-reflective. The resolution's really nice, and for 2010, having that resolution is really quite something. Yeah, this is really taking its time for an SSD, isn't it? And my lights died. RIP light. Might have to plug that in a second if I can find another cable. There we go. Welcome to the Windows 7 desktop. That's still loading. There we go. Yeah, that has Windows 7. Right, reboot. What else is on here? I can't actually remember. There was a High Sierra partition and also an EFI boot one, but I have no idea which of those, if any, actually work. Come on. This was used quite a lot as the tinkering laptop, so it's got loads of stuff for modding Wii U's and various other things shoved on it. So that's a little bit of fun. Another blast from the past, modding my Wii U for the first time when I was like 12. Come on. Dragging its heels today. I might speed this up as well. There we go. Right, option. Clearly it's muted because it's not bonging. Let's try EFI boot and see what happens. Okay, so yeah, there's no... That will be from when it had OpenCore Legacy Patcher installed, but it now doesn't. It's just got a copy of High Sierra. High Sierra was the last officially supported. The cough's not gone. Was the last officially supported version of macOS for the mid-2010. Why? This is my adorably compact Toshiba NB100 netbook. This is from the early netbook era, where they were actually really, really tiny. This one only has an 8.9-inch display. It features the Intel Atom N270 at 1.6 GHz, 1 GB of RAM, and whatever Intel graphics chip they could squeeze in the rest of the space. The screen resolution is only 1024 by 600, which means even with Windows XP, it's ridiculously small. That tiny resolution is only part of the things that make it so difficult to use. The keyboard is also absolutely microscopic and designed for baby hands, and the trackpad buttons might as well be Tic Tacs. All of these things make it incredibly difficult to navigate the user interface, but I still love this thing because it is just adorably small. I cannot even begin to explain how many times I tried to film the B-roll for that, and it would not focus on the screen, no matter what. Anyway, this does have a working battery, it's just not charged. And compared to some of the MacBooks we've just looked at, this thing is microscopic. Microscopic. This little tiny 9-inch screen. There we go. Yes, I know the CMOS battery's dead, and because the actual battery's been dead, it's still going to be sad. This has the original factory installation of Windows XP Home Edition, which, considering this has 1 GB of RAM and the world's worst Intel Atom ever, it doesn't run that slowly. And especially considering all the Toshiba crap that's shoved on it as well. The issue with all of these netbooks is the screen resolution is so low, you can't do anything. Even ignoring the fact that they can't run the internet, just trying to do anything on these screens is horrible. No, I don't know if I tapped that right because the keyboard is so small. No, I didn't. There we go. I mean, the trackpad. There's my finger for, like... There's my hand for size comparison. Like... It's just so small. So everything on the screen is tiny, tiny, tiny. The trackpad buttons are tiny, 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 tiny. She's very, very, very small, but very cute. I do really like this thing. It's really, really, really just... Yeah, it's very nice.
and it's in amazing condition. It's very clear to me that no one ever actually tried to use it, and they just bought it and went, that's nice. So yeah, Windows XP Home Edition. So that is our first netbook, and it is not going to be the last netbook. So let's move on to netbook number 2.
The Toshiba NB305 has a really nice overall design. It's got this nice textured finish on the lid, and it looks like metal all around. They're really quite dense as well and have some substantial weight to them. They contain an Intel Atom N450 at 1.6 GHz, originally shipped with 1GB of RAM, and again have some awful Intel GPU. The screen resolution is still only 1024x600, but this time is upped to a 10.1 inch size. They all feature this glossy cover at the back, which looks quite interesting. The underside has rubber feet and all of the standard stickers you would expect. Once again, the keyboard is absolutely tiny, but is much nicer to type on than the one on the NB100. The trackpad is also far more usable. I do really like the overall design. I wish it was a more powerful computer.
So this is an NB305, which is a later version of the previously seen NB100. So it's another Intel Atom-based horror story. However, this one is slightly better than the one you'll see in a little bit, as this has had its Windows 7 installation obliterated and replaced with Windows XP, which is the only thing that should ever be run on an Intel Atom. Ever. Just in general. Windows XP is the only operating system that is light enough to suffer through abysmal 1GB of RAM Intel Atom laptops. Windows 7? Nope. Windows Vista? Absolutely not. And anything else just doesn't work. Linux distributions run badly. I lied. It doesn't have Windows XP on it. It has nothing on it. I wiped it. So, there we go. That's what we've learned today. I have put nothing on it. It might not even have a hard drive. It genuinely might not even have a hard drive. I can't actually remember. What's the BIOS on this F2? Can't remember. It might just have absolutely nothing installed in it. I can't remember. I haven't played with this recently. It did have Windows XP on it the last time I tried it, though. Come on. When it takes this long to load the BIOS, you know that it's really, really going well. Nearly. Come on. I believe. Hurry up. No. I'll cut this. Oh, never mind. There we go. Atom N450. Right, where's boot? Yeah, there is no hard drive in this thing, so that's all we're seeing of you.
There is not really much to say, other than the fact that yes, I do have another one. And this one I like even more. The blue colour is really quite nice to look at. I remember seeing one of these in a video when I was about 12 years old and just wanting nothing more than to have one of my own. And then I got one and realised why I should never have bothered. Because, yeah, it's another Intel Atom, 1GB of RAM, not particularly nice performance at all, ever. But it looks really nice, and the size is really good, the keyboard's nice. Like, there's things that are good, but the performance just absolutely ruins these. And again, the glossy screen made filming the B-roll impossible. My camera was having none of it and was just like, I ain't focusing, you can't make me.
So here we have my other NB305, and this is kind of where netbooks just kind of fell to pieces, really, because they decided to, you know, let's try and put Windows 7 on it, you know, modern, it's 2009, we don't want Windows XP anymore. And the result was it was even slower and even worse than it would have been on Windows XP. So that was wonderful. I mean, and the screen resolution is so bad it doesn't even display the Windows 7 boot screen. For anyone that wonders why this comes up, if the resolution of the display is lower than, I think, 800 pixels high, it doesn't display the boot screen properly. So it doesn't display the boot screen properly. So, this has Windows 7 Starter Edition on it, which means you can only have a certain number of apps open at once, and it's basically just really, really crap. Really, 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 really crap. And this is also running on a mechanical hard drive, so it's going to pretty slow. But for some reason, faster than some of the other computers we've looked at today. It's thinking about it. Again, a computer like this size of laptop, if it had a full 720p display rather than this 600p rubbish, and had modern specs in it, it would be brilliant. I would love something this size. 10-inch display, it'd be so useful. But alas, the only versions of this that exist are these horrible late 2000s Intel Atom based nonsense.
Unlike the previously looked at Toshiba netbooks, the Toshiba Satellite L300 is built like absolute trash. This is the plastickiest feeling computer I have ever held in my whole life. It feels hollow. It's really quite nasty. But the reason I wanted one is because they have memories attached, which will be explained in a little while. They just aren't built very well. I also don't even know the specs of this one properly. It's only got a Pentium from the Core 2 Duo era, 2 gigs of RAM. That's basically all I know. And it has a 1280 by 800 display that's 15 inches. It's bad. It looks horrible. And plasticky.
Literally the most reflective screen in the universe. The Toshiba Satellite Pro L300. I own this because this was the first Windows computer I ever used. They had them at my primary school, and these running Windows XP was my first interaction with Windows, because my parents are both Apple nerds, and I had only ever used Mac OS up until this point, and my first interaction with Windows was this. And it was even set up exactly like this, with the classic log-on screen rather than the welcome screen. So I've literally set this up as a retro time capsule of my time at primary school. So it has the classic box-based log-on system. In order to get in, and it has the same wallpaper. And I mean, these are horrible. Like, this is such cheap plastic. It feels nasty, like properly nasty, and it weighs nothing. This is a 15-inch laptop, and I could pick it up very easily, like between two fingers. Like, it does not feel well built in the slightest. And a bit like with the netbooks, I can't get this on Wi-Fi, so there's clearly something to do with the Toshiba Wi-Fi drivers and my internet, because none of the Toshibas really like my Wi-Fi, but this is the L300, and yeah, it's bad. It's really, really, really cheap feeling. Like, just listen to the trackpad button when the Windows sound stops. Just listen. Nasty.
Up next, we have yet more glossy plastic rubbish. This is the Toshiba Satellite P200, a 17-inch behemoth of a mid-2000s laptop that sadly has many of the same issues as the L300. This is a weird one. It even has HDMI out and various other modern features, including an HD DVD drive. It has a Core 2 Duo T5250, 4GB of DDR2 RAM, and the ATI Mobility Radeon HD 2600. All of that is powering a 1440 by 900 17-inch display, which is not enough resolution for that size, let me tell you. It does not look good. Just like the L300, this thing feels hollow and cheap, and does not hold any resemblance of quality.
Another plasticky behemoth, the P200. And from my memory, the keyboard in this does not work. It died, and I haven't got a new one yet. It has an HD DVD player in it, though, which is cool, I guess, but the screen is shit, so I don't know why they bothered. This screen is 1440 by 900, and it's 17 inches. It looks really, really bad. Really bad. It just looks sad, if anything. And I'm pretty sure the keyboard is dead. I don't know what killed it. It literally was working 1 minute, and then I started using it, and it died. The computer's fine, because if I plug in the keyboard from the L300, it's fine. But this keyboard does not work. I bought this because I wanted a better Windows XP experience basically, and it did not deliver. This is not a good Windows XP laptop, and I would not buy it again if I could go back in time. But I have it now, and it's kind of cool. It's got lights on it, and it even has HDMI. So for like 2007, that was pretty impressive. I can't click on the shutdown button, so we're just going to have to do that because the keyboard and trackpad aren't even plugged in because it didn't work. So that's this. I mean, it's really, really, again, plastic.
The netbook is reborn into the modern era thanks to the Lenovo Ideapad 110S. This features an Intel Celeron N3060 at 1.6 GHz, 2 GB of soldered memory, and a 1366 by 768 11.6 inch display. It's all running on 32 GB of soldered eMMC storage, which is very slow and basically an SD card for those of you that didn't know that. These tiny little laptops were released at the end of the Windows 8 era and are not particularly good, but for Windows 8 they work a lot better than you would expect. They were very popular with a lot of YouTubers as they were released at $120, so you basically got the laptop for free with Windows.
This is the Ideapad 110S. There are loads of videos with these things in like 2017 from various massive tech YouTubers who were basically like, it's the cheapest thing you can buy, which is true. That doesn't mean you should buy it. It's like really cheap food. Although, I believe that putting Windows 8 on it actually saved this thing, because it originally came with Windows 10, because this is the slightly later 110. The 100 came with Windows 8, the 110 came with Windows 10. Putting Windows 8 on it made this so much more usable, because Windows 8 is just missing so much of the rubbish that Windows 10 has in it. And with only 2 GB of RAM, you can't have any rubbish. So I installed OpenShell, and to be fair, it really is quite usable with Windows 8 on it. And again, small form factor things like this, 11 inches with a decent keyboard and a pretty okay screen. If this was faster, it would be so much nicer to use. But sadly, it is not. And yeah, it is a shame. But it isn't too bad. It is not too bad. So it's running Windows 8.1. If it'll open WinVer, which probably won't. Nope, that's definitely not WinVer. It's Windows 8.1, 6.3, yeah. Anyway, this isn't too bad. And with Windows 8 on it, it is fairly usable. But again, this is still very cheap. But unlike the Toshibas, unlike being cheap and hollow, because this thing is so thin, it actually doesn't feel too bad at all. And it's not very flexible. Like, it does feel pretty okay.
Continuing on with the trend of rebirthing the netbook, we have the Lenovo Ideapad 120S. This is the 13-inch version, which means it's not actually a netbook at all. It features an Intel Celeron N3350 at 1.1 GHz. This one has 4 GB of soldered RAM and 64 GB of eMMC storage. The screen is exactly the same at 1366 by 768, but is obviously much larger. Unlike the smaller 11-inch version, this does feel cheap. It's very bendy, very flexible, and just is a bit gross. These were again incredibly cheap and were around $150 at their most expensive, which made them a great value, but great value and great good are not the same thing.
Unlike the smaller 110S, this larger one there is no structural integrity at all. This thing is bendy and horrible and just yuck. Anyway, I used this as my main school laptop for my A-levels. So that was a few years ago. And I did Fusion 360 and I did like 3D modeling on this. It was a bad time. It was a bad time. I had Chrome OS Flex installed on it at that point, and it was just horrible. Like, it was so slow, the trackpad's bad, like, it was not a fun experience, but I managed to do my A-level product design like that, so that was honestly a talent in all in its own. No idea what's installed on it now. We're going to find out. Now the peripherals on my iMac keep disconnecting, which means it keeps trying to not let me move the mouse. There we go. Now I literally don't know what's on it. I guess we're going to find out, and it might be nothing. It's just these horrible eMMC storage, soldered RAM. They're just horrible. So horrible. Ubuntu Budgie. Okay, that is not what I was expecting. That's fair enough. Okay. Clearly I was just like trying to make this thing work like at all. I have no idea what the password will be. Wait, I'm good at guessing. Okay. I don't know what Ubuntu Budgie even looks like, so we're gonna do this bit of discovery together. I mean, the screen is so bad. You can see how bad the viewing angles are on the camera. Like it's so bad. And there we go, Ubuntu Budgie. Okay, so it has a dock, right? I'm seeing this is just like a. Okay, I mean it's quite nice. It's kind of like Mac OS-y, but yeah. That is the Ideapad 120. 120S, 13-inch version, and yeah, very cheap, but was so cheap, and would have come with Windows and Office included for a year. So you basically got the laptop for free. Again, no such thing as a free lunch. It's bad. It's a bad lunch.
Finally, something of quality, I hear you cry, and you'd be right. The Thinkpad X61 is one of my favourite computers of all time. This particular model features a Core 2 Duo T7250 at 2GHz, 2GB of RAM, Intel integrated graphics, and a 1024x768 12.1-inch 4x3 display, which looks absolutely gorgeous. These laptops are so thin and light, and were released at the same era as those awful netbooks from earlier, but featured full Core 2 Duo CPUs and proper sized displays. Nothing beats these computers. I would love to have 10 of them in my house. They are just gorgeous.
The Thinkpad X61 is probably one of, if not my favourite laptop. It is just perfect. It's small, it's compact, it's built like a tank. The performance is absolutely fine, and it was brilliant for the time. 4x3 display, which on a 12-inch makes it feel even smaller than it actually is. And it's just mwah, mwah, chef's kiss. Yes, I know the CMOS battery is dead. It's dead in everything that I own. But that's fine. I haven't got time to rummage around for batteries when I don't use things all the time. And you might be starting to pick up on a trend at this point of what my favourite operating system may or may not be, depending on how many computers have been running said operating system. So when it decides to post, you'll find out that once again we are running Windows XP again for like the 105th time, and we're nowhere near done yet. There's more Windows XP where that came from, I'm assuring you of that. And excitingly, this is, again, the original factory image, because on archive.org are all of the recovery disks for this laptop. So it's got all of the IBM software, the IBM wallpapers. Very exciting. This does still have a mechanical hard drive, though, so it is going to crawl a little bit. I would like to get it an SSD at some point, but as proved by my T61, which we will look at in a bit, Windows XP on an SSD and a ThinkPad apparently doesn't go very fast. So that's unusual and a bit strange, but we'll make it do. There we go. We got a mouse cursor. We're going to get more. There we go. Right. Can't remember the password. That's a good start. Ooh, it froze when I pressed enter. That's good. There we go. Yes, I know the time and date is invalid. That's not the point. I don't care. She's thinking hard again. Lots of very hard thinks going on today. I mean, it's not failed. yet, but it doesn't sound particularly happy with itself. Now, the Thinkpad X61 is just, yeah, they're just so good. They're just so good. Everything should be built like this. Everything. Everything. Yeah, we've got the nice globe IBM wallpaper. And again, here's my hand for comparison. Like, this is my whole hand. This thing's tiny. And unlike the netbooks, this was actually a good laptop with good performance and good quality parts. So, you know, you would actually want to use this. The resolution on this one is the lowest spec one. It's only 1024 by 768, but you could get these with 1280 by 1024 displays, which would have looked so good, so good. Yeah, there we go. It's just having a little bit of a moment, I think, because when it was last turned off, I think it was on the docking base, and now it's not. So it's just like, I'm not on the dock anymore. Because this also came with a docking base, so you could have a disk drive and way more ports, and just so well thought out. So well thought out, and yeah, brilliant. 10 out of 10 laptop.
As the big brother to the Thinkpad X61, the Thinkpad T61 is a significant size upgrade, featuring a Core 2 Duo T7300 at 2 GHz, 4 GB of RAM, Intel integrated graphics, and this time a 1440 by 900 14-inch widescreen display. Compared to the X61, this laptop is an absolute unit. It's heavy, it's thick, and is very much pushing the limits of what I would consider a laptop. This is more of a desktop replacement. It features the same incredible quality build, fantastic keyboard, track point, and however, now features a trackpad for those of you that cannot get on with a track point.
Here is the Thinkpad T61, big brother to this X61, and just as gorgeous and fantastically built, and just, yeah, just a yes computer, essentially. And shocker shocker, you met this laptop in the very first video on this channel when the T400 decided it did not want to burn discs anymore, and we used the T61 instead. And I'm sure that the IATKOS stuff is still on here. And this even has the fingerprint reader, which does in fact work if I can get the angle right. It's not great, because this is from 2007. It's not an iPhone, basically. And will it work? Can I get it to work? Nope. There we go. Fifth or sixth time the charm. And welcome to Windows XP. There we go. This has been customized quite significantly. It's got a bunch of XPI stuff and the Media Center theme, etc. But it is still the original IBM installation, so it's got all of the ThinkVantage software. It's got, yeah, loads of stuff that works. I love a track point. Love a track point. Let's just do the classic thing. Haven't done this in this video, and we've had loads of Windows XP.
XP from Microsoft, the new version of Windows that brings your PC to life. Experience the best.
I just love the intro. This operating system is perfect. Windows XP is perfection. It can run on anything, and it runs really, really quite well. This also has the Middleton BIOS installed, so it has proper RAM access, all of that, all of the good stuff's going on. And yeah, what a gorgeous, gorgeous laptop.
As far as the aesthetics go, the T400 is identical to the T61, and I could basically have put the same B-roll in and you probably wouldn't have noticed. Despite some minor logo differences, they are exactly the same. This T400 features a Core 2 Duo P8600 at 2.4 GHz, 8 GB of RAM, and the ATI Radeon 3400 graphics chip. It has the same 1440 by 900 display as the T61, however with improved brightness and colours in comparison. This has been upgraded with a 250GB SSD and runs Windows 7 absolutely brilliantly. Just like the T61, everything works perfectly, and I do just love how many warning lights they have on them, just in case, just like a car.
And here is the very slightly newer brother to the T61, the T400. The only differences really are there's motherboard changes that mean these can take more RAM, and they got slightly newer and faster Core 2 Duos. And other than that, they are identical in body, etc., to the T61. Both of these, I should have mentioned, both of my versions are the 14-inch versions. This was before Lenovo did differentiate. No, they didn't. No. So the T400 and the T500 were a thing, where the 500 was the bigger one. The T61 was just the T61 and the T61 Big Boy, and they hadn't done name differentiations yet. This also has the fingerprint reader, which I think is slightly more reliable, but that might be more due to the Windows 7 software being newer than the actual fingerprint reader being any good. There you go. Welcome to Windows 7. Another beautiful ThinkPad, and the last ThinkPad in this video. I do own 2 more ThinkPads, but they are not going to be part of this video because they are both in use. I have an X230 tablet, which is somewhere very hard to get to because it runs a media thing, etc. And it's also not in particularly good condition anyway, so it's not really a collector's piece. And I also have my ThinkPad X270, which is my main work laptop, so I'll not be showing that for obvious reasons because it's covered and full of all of my very sensitive work information, so that will not be in this video either. But I do own 2 more ThinkPads, so the ones you've seen here, plus those 2.
Here is my Dell Inspiron 1100. This is the oldest laptop I own at this current time. It features some Intel Celeron based on, I believe, the Pentium 3 architecture, 512MB of RAM, Intel integrated graphics, and a 1024 by 768 14-inch display. I have no idea what operating system it's running, as we shall discover in a minute, but this thing is enormously thick. Enormously thick. Like, so thick. Just, yeah, she's a thick boy. She's a very thick boy.
So this is the Inspiron 1100. This is the oldest Dell that I own. And it did come with a fully working battery that held, you know, really good charge, basically unused. And I've thrown it away because this laptop is from that era of Dell. And I quite like my house, so it does not have a battery in it anymore. It also apparently doesn't work. Oh, that's because the charging cable fell out. There we go. So this has a Intel Pentium 4 Panic Shock Terror, which is why the fan sounds like that straight away. I have no idea what's installed in here. I can't remember. I want to say something weird. Invalid configuration. Please run the setup program. Can I not do that? It's probably because the battery's dead, isn't it? I have 2, I think. God, that fan. Entering setup. There we go. This does feature panel expansion in the BIOS. I just haven't enabled it because my eyes work for the time being. I can see. I can still see for now. Are we in? I know the time of day's not set. That's what I'm trying to do. Bloody hell. Right, time and date. You know what? It doesn't matter if it's 2004. I forgot. This is really weird. You have to do like Alt-P to change the page. It's very strange. You know what? It probably will be fine. It'll be fine. That said Windows ME. Continue. Continue. Oh. I think I may have installed. I have installed Windows ME on this laptop. I had this is. Yeah, there it is. It's doing scan disk, probably because it like died or something because the battery's non-existent. But it's running Windows ME, so that's fun. At least it's not running Windows XP again, right? But yeah, this is a really nice Dell, actually. Like, it's not particularly fabulous, but it'll... Why don't I just click cancel? It's nothing special. Oh yeah, we're just gonna bypass the password screen because it's Windows ME by pressing cancel. If you didn't know about that, Windows ME 98, etc. There is no password. You can just press cancel and it will log you in anyway with all of your files. It's not a guest account. Just straight in. Here we are. Yeah, there we go. We're running Windows Millennium Edition on here, which is not what I was expecting, but is a bit more interesting, I suppose. Can't remember why it's running Windows Millennium Edition. It might be for a reason, it might not. It's just kind of cool. We have, yeah, a screen that works. Yeah. It's a Celeron. It's not a Pentium 4, it's a Celeron. It's based on the Pentium 4, I think, but it says it's a Celeron. And here we go. So that is my Inspiron 1100 with Windows Millennium Edition.
Another big boy early 2000s Dell, the Dell Inspiron 8500. This does actually feature a Pentium 4 at 2 GHz, another 512MB of RAM, and the NVIDIA GeForce 4 4200 graphics processor. This has the beautiful 1680 by 1050 15.4-inch display, which was a very expensive upgrade. However, there was even a 1900 by 1200p version available, which for 2004 was absolutely mind-blowing. This laptop features the same design language almost as the Inspiron 1100, however, is on the widescreen spectrum. Again, another laptop that I really, really like. I just find them quite cool and fairly unique.
Here we have my Inspiron 8500, which is basically a widescreen version of the 1100 that we just looked at, and would have been slightly higher end. Why don't I plug this in before I turn the camera on? That would have been really quite intelligent. It would have been slightly more higher end than the 1100 model. This does definitely have a Pentium 4 because it's got a sticker on it. It says Pentium 4 on it. And yeah, I don't know what was installed on it. We will find out together. It's even got a little track point. It's not going to be as nice as the ThinkPad one, but it has one. This is also running Windows ME. Interesting choice. Okay, I don't know again why it's running Windows ME, but apparently it is. Okay, there ain't no resolution going on here, and the trackpad drivers don't work either. This is definitely worse than the 1100 at running Windows ME. This is not running well. Apparently this runs Windows ME, so we definitely need to do a video of installing something not this on this computer. Maybe Windows 2000? Maybe? I don't know. But anyway, that is the Inspiron 8500. I would love a 9100, which is one of the ones that has a desktop Pentium 4 in it. That would be hilarious, but I can't find one on eBay, and they're really expensive.
I'm afraid that my Dell Inspiron 6000 is another one from the sticker bomb era, so we're just going to have to ignore them and pretend they're not there. This Inspiron 6000 has been fully maxed out. It has the 2.26 GHz Pentium M, 2GB of RAM, the ATI Mobility Radeon X300 graphics, and the 1680 by 1050 display. That is a high spec for this era of laptop. Again, a 1920 by 1200 display was available, but sadly I do not have it. I absolutely love this laptop, and it is my main Windows XP laptop. The Toshiba we saw earlier was bought in an attempt to upgrade from this, however this is still significantly better than the Toshiba in every way. It's better built, it's actually more graphically powerful, and it's a better size. 17 inches is just too much.
Here is my Inspiron 6000. Now this is also one of my favourite laptops. I've had a lot of fun with this over its lifetime with me. Originally, this had the 1280 by 800 display and the Intel integrated graphics motherboard and a slow Pentium M. This now has the fastest Pentium M ever made, 1680 by 1050 display, and it even has the AMD graphics card and new motherboard, and this thing is a beast other than the hard drive is very slow. And at some point I would like to get one of those mSATA to PATA adapters so I can put an SSD in this, because this is actually my main Windows XP laptop. So that would be Very nice, if I could do that. And the screen looks great because it's 1680 by 1050. It's just got this like weird dirt in the corner. And the wallpaper's Cookie Monster. Again, this is... I set this up when I was like 14. And I haven't changed it, so it's Cookie Monster. Loads of Windows XP era games. When Steam used to work on Windows XP, this thing was beautiful. And then they ruined everything. But, oh well. That is my Inspiron 6000, and it is actually running Media Center Edition. This is not just professional with the theme installed. This is actually running Media Center Edition, which is very nice. Yeah, very nice, very nice. Very nice Dell. And we'll move on to more Dell.
The Inspiron 710M is a netbook from before netbooks. It features a 1.7 GHz Pentium M, 512 MB of RAM, and a 1280 by 800 12-inch display. This little tiny laptop is absolutely gorgeous. It's basically exactly the same design as the Inspiron 6000, but scaled right down to fit into this tiny little form factor. It is really nicely built, and is a really nice thing to look at. One of the nicest compact Windows XP laptops you can buy. These were also never actually sold in the United Kingdom, and I got very lucky to get this one, as it appeared on eBay over from the United States, with free postage, would you believe? Unbelievable.
Here, I think, is one of the coolest little laptops ever, really. So, the Inspiron 700M series. Now, these... I don't think they ever made these in the UK. This also came miraculously from the United States, as it has an American keyboard layout. And I was very excited to get one. So this is basically the Inspiron 6000, but instead of a 15-inch, it is a tiny, tiny little... I think it's 11. It might be 11 or 12 inches. It's so small. And it's still got a Pentium M in it. Like, this, they didn't go... This is no Intel Atom rubbish from later. This has an actual CPU in it that works. What it doesn't have is RAM or speed of the hard drive, because the hard drive is very slow. And it also has only 512 megabytes of RAM installed at the moment, which means it does not run Windows XP to the best of its capabilities. But there it is. Windows XP, and it has a 1280 by 800 display, but on this size, it looks really, really good. Really good. Yeah. I love this laptop. It's really, really cute. Really cute. And that is the last time we're going to see Windows XP in this video! Sorry that there's been so much Windows XP. I genuinely, it's just like my favourite piece of software.
Next up, we have my beautifully blue Dell Latitude E4300. This features a Core 2 Duo P9600 at 2.53 GHz, 4GB of RAM, and a 1366 by 768 13.3-inch display. This laptop was very, very, very cool to come across. When I got it, it had Windows XP installed on it, and had loads of data from monitoring seismic activity that had not been erased. I have backed all of that up, because I just thought that was such a cool thing to find on a laptop. It had graphs and photos and just loads of really awesome information about some volcanic activity in the UK and seismic stuff. It was just really cool. I love this laptop. The blue colour is just beautiful and it is amazing. I wish I had a red one to go with it so I had a matching pair. Now, the hard drive in this laptop is dead. Very, 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 very dead. So that might be another video of making this thing work.
I will not be powering this laptop on in this video because the hard drive in it is completely and utterly dead. The laptop works fine, but the hard drive has failed, and it has Windows 7 on it, and it genuinely takes like 10 minutes to boot Windows 7. Quick note, I decided to test it. It took 14.5 minutes to load Internet Explorer from off. So that's not being on camera.
And the E4300's bigger brother, the E6400, featuring a Core 2 Duo P8600 at 2.4 GHz, 4GB of RAM, and the NVIDIA Quadro NVS 160M GPU. This also features a 1440 by 900 14-inch display, which looks really, really pretty. I'm afraid this is another laptop from the sticker bomb era, and yeah, just ignore the stickers. The laptop itself is in really good overall condition. I'm very happy with it, and it's really, really a nice laptop. These Dells are just fantastic, really well built, just like ThinkPads.
And the final laptop in the collection is my Latitude E6400, which again comes from the sticker bomb era of my brain, so apologies for the giant disaster that is all over it. I know, again, the battery's dead, I don't care. Oh wait, I need to change the BIOS setting. This has Windows Vista on it, which is now going to blue screen, because the BIOS in this computer with the battery dead defaults to IRRT SATA operation, which Windows Vista cannot cope with. So I need to go into SATA operation and change it to AHCI mode. Yes. Apply. Exit. Now it'll boot. Just one of those stupid things. Does this have a mechanical hard drive or an SSD in it? I can't remember. Yes, it's fine. Yes, this has actual Windows Vista on it. And, because that's what it would have shipped with. And it runs it quite well. This is the maxed out version, so backlit keyboard, high-res screen, NVIDIA graphics, whole shabam. And it's very, very nice. Very nice indeed. Other than I sticker bombed it because I was 14, and I will probably never take them off, because taking them off will probably just reveal the mess that it's going to leave behind, so leaving them is the safer option. I do like the little animation that Windows Vista does when it boots. So it's Windows Vista Business, as the Latitude series is a business class of machine. This is definitely a mechanical hard drive. This would be done if it was an SSD. Yeah, I can hear the hard drive clicking away. Again, this could be an SSD project. Windows Vista on an SSD. Woo! I don't know. Again, this is... Apparently I was playing The Sims 2 on it. That's cool. And there's also the Star Wars Episode 9 teaser trailer. This was an era when I was using this on a regular basis. But yeah, playing The Sims 2 would probably work quite well, actually. It's got Office 2007 on it. Yeah, needs an SSD. But other than that, another nice laptop. So, thank you very much for watching this incredibly long video, and probably not very interesting video, but I thought it was fun, when we looked over my current laptop collection. Now, there are a few more things already on the way to add to this collection, so we might do some unboxings, and we'll definitely do some more playing around with stuff. Just send me stuff in the comments. Tell me what you want me to do, and we'll do it. I'll put SSDs in anything. I will install Windows 11 on a Pentium 3 and try and make that work. We can do all sorts. It'll be hilarious. So thank you for coming along for the ride once again, and thank you for joining in the reboot room, and I shall see you in the next video. Au revoir.